Hi, this is me, Madison Yeager, Millian, Brooke, and Kiara's IDU 2020 project on Transcendentalism and Physics.
The Pedigree of Honey, Emily Dickinson. The pedigree of honey does not concern the bee. A clover, any time, to him, is aristocracy.
The overall meaning of the terse poem, The Pedigree of Honey, is about how people shouldn't associate themselves with others based on their backgrounds, class, or wealth, to rather find beauty in all things.
The connotation is about unconditional love. Dickinson is saying that people shouldn't lambast others due to their pedigree, such as their class, wealth, and status, as humans should have that same mindset. For many bees, they choose nectar based on its pedigree. For this bee in the poem, he does not.
Dickinson uses end-stop lines to create sensira, insinuating that the poem is being spoken rather than written, making it seem like a heart-to-heart conversation, and it puts a harsh end to the poem, stopping the flow, signifying that Dickinson is done speaking and is moving on from the reader.
The enjambment of the poem encourages the reader to read the missing half or second line of the poem. The first line introduces the non-materialism of the bee by isolating the phrase. The second line shows the disinterest of the honey's pedigree by the bee.
Dickinson, in the last two lines of the poem, describes that the bee is grateful for the honey it receives. A clover is not the most beautiful flower, but it contains what the bee needs to survive. It's a metaphor for humans. People shouldn't be friends with others for their wealth. Instead, their honey.
The transcendental meaning of the pedigree of honey is nature is the best teacher. The poem is about finding beauty in all things expressed through the idea of following or learning from nature, such as the bee.
The biomimicry issue that we chose to do for this presentation is honeycomb structures. A honeycomb is a place that bees create to store their honey, and a honeycomb structure is the shape of a hexagon.
The biomimicry issue of honeycomb structures relates to the poem The Pedigree of Honey by demonstrating how the bees in the poem store their honey. To put it simply, the honeycomb structure works to provide the most area with the least perimeter. What this means for bees and humans is maximizing resource efficiency and storage space. The honeycomb structure strikes the perfect balance between area and perimeter, functionality and convenience.
We decided to relate honeycomb structures to shelves. Shelves are used to store objects on the wall. The biomimicry of the hexagon shape allows humans to have maximum storage with the least surface area. It also stops the items placed on the shelf from falling off the sides.
Honeycombs are made of beeswax, which, when softened and melted from the activity of the bees, is formed into hexagons, which over time hardens into the hexagon honeycomb pattern.
Shelves are man-made items that are made by cutting equal-sized pieces of wood with 30-degree angles. The pieces of wood are then screwed together, and finally the shelf is painted and mounted on the wall. The biomimicry of bees to shelves are that hexagon shelves mimic the shape of honeycombs. They both utilize the advantage of more surface area with less perimeter, so they can then store more items and take up less space.
In this section, we'll be talking about the viewing of the natural world through poems and physics. Poets explain the natural world in different ways, scientific or spiritual, through their own poems, much like how physicists will do through their work in the field of physics.
Poets give another perspective of the natural world through their poems. This new perspective allows humans to understand the true teachings of nature. This poem allows us to understand and appreciate bees and nature more.
Poetry tries to show us what they see and how they feel. They see nature as connected to and self-reflected with humans. Some authors include Ursula K. Le Guin, Robert Frost, and Barry Lopez.
Physicists work to understand the why of the natural world through processes like the scientific method. The goal is to find the meaning of why things happen. Physicists focus on a realistic way of thinking, in the sense that religion and spirituality aren't factors, just science and logic. Thank you for watching.